Love finances, the other F word, and want to support the show? Become a patron by going to patreon.com/FTOFW. You'll get special features, a shout out on the air, and early releases. Or if you prefer, pick up some merchandise at financestheotherfword.com.
As fantastic a CFP as Mel O is, as wonderful an attorney as I am, and as good as Stormy is at whatever it is he does, please do note that anything said in our podcasts are our opinions alone and are not meant to be taken as financial or legal advice.
Welcome to Finances, the Other F Word, a Gen Xer podcast for musicians and music lovers, where we discuss money and music without all the pretentious bullshit. Here are your hosts, Zoe Terry, attorney at large, Stormy Andrews, founder of Yokel Local Marketing, and Mel O, certified financial planner and author of Finances, the Other F Word. Listener discretion is advised.
Hey guys, welcome to Finances, the Other F Word, and Merry Christmas for 2020.
Yay.
Yep.
Yay!
Woo! Okay, not exactly the response I was expecting, but more like not even yay for the holiday spirit. You guys haven't even had to deal with me personally listening to Christmas music all the time. You should be at least a little bit more stoked.
I have my Christmas tree up. I've had it up for about a week and it still isn't even decorated. So that's about as Christmassy as we've got in this house. The youngest cat just keeps climbing it. I put two ornaments on it, and he knocked them both off. So that's as far as we've got in the Christmas spirit in this house.
Are you actually going to decorate it, or are you just going to leave it up?
Fuck it. The way it looks right now, we might just leave it and let him climb it every day and just let him be the one and only moving ornament.
Yeah, and take endless pictures of it.
Which I, of course, have. So
right. How about you, Stormy? Are you even decorated in your house?
No, and normally, this is the hangout for Christmas, but because everyone's quarantined, nobody's coming over. It's me and the boys. I'm like, hey guys, I told the boys they should put up the tree. They're like, Dad, you should put up the tree. So no one's put up the tree.
It's a standoff. It's a Christmas tree standoff.
It's a standoff, absolutely. And I'm not giving in.
No,
so I'm like,
Scrooge.
Absolutely. I need to get on Amazon because it's probably about time to do Christmas shopping, huh?
Yeah, I'm pretty much going to do the same today.
Yeah.
Fuck it.
Like,
I don't do any.
I did buy myself for Christmas a new shower head.
Ooh, sexy.
Well, that's usually what
I love.
Do.
A good shower.
What kind of shower head? What kind of? I know what kind of shower head girls get.
It's called a Nibia. Oh, it has a
fancy.
wand, so, but it's called a Nibia by Moen, so it atomizes the water. So as soon as you get to throw the word atomize into a shower head, I'm like, I'm in. I got to buy one. Don't even know what atomizing is.
I was going to say,
but it sounds
like
super
edamame.
cool. Yeah.
Okay.
No, it just breaks the water down. It's supposed to, it saves water. Okay. So there's a little tree hugging thing, but mostly it feels like your body's just being engulfed. It takes the water droplets and it like breaks down a water droplet into like millions of water droplets. So it creates this just incredible feeling. So they say on the video, it's supposed to be here today. So I'll install it this weekend and I'll let you know if I'm spending like 2 hours in the shower, then we know it's working well.
Perhaps you could take a video of it and we could all enjoy that.
Oh, you know what? I will.
Okay, so
you can see my little tiny
Tiny
negative
nipples.
nipples.
So 3 things on that. Don't take a video of that. That's the first one, most important. Number 2, if you're in the shower for 2 hours, you negate any water saving principles. Number 3, what I envisioned in my head is like in the 90s when all of the music videos with the boy bands were slow songs and they'd like look up and there'd be this fine mist that would fall over their face as they were singing about some chick that they did wrong that they wanted back.
Yeah.
Which what a bullshit message. Like the fucking Stay by Jodeci, which is one of my favorite songs from the 90s. He's like, oh, sorry, I left you crying. Since you've been gone, I've been all alone, whatever. And he's like, so come back and stay with me and make love to me like you used to. I was like, and I think he mentions that he cheated on her in the song. I'm like, no, fuck you. You should be all alone, bitch. You cheated.
Yeah. Stay in the shower.
Yeah, fucking stay. It should be stay with your hand is what it should be. Anyway, but that was
Stay with Pam.
With Pam?
palm of your hand.
I see what you
there it
did there.
is. We
So
knew that was coming.
so the point is that even though that's a great song, a lot of the songs in the 90s were like that to women. It was just, sorry, I cheated on you, but I made a mistake, so come back to me. I'm like, well, and actually in the 2000s too, I guess that's just kind of a running theme. So anyway, Merry Christmas Eve, and we hope that you guys enjoy your Christmas season and on through your holiday season, and we will see the end to 2020. And so
Yay!
yay. Well, and unfortunately, I don't think 2021 is going to be much better.
Oh, it's going to be way better.
Well, I mean, as far as with the first half of it with the coronavirus and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Heard about that. I heard about that.
Yeah. Oh, did you just forget? I mean, I know. Yeah.
Two-thirds of the people on the podcast, Stormy, 2/3 of the people on the
What's
podcast.
that?
I said 2/3 of the people on the podcast.
Yeah, two-thirds of the podcast. You need to get with the program, Zoe.
Well, can we all just note who didn't? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Moving on.
Moving on. So anyway, we're going to do two things on this podcast. I had hoped we would all be drinking, but we had to move it due to circumstances. So the timing is, I mean, we could be drinking right now, but it's
I'd
really
like
early.
to.
It's really early in the day and we'd probably be fucked up in 2 hours, which would not be good. So we're going to cover up a quick timeline of what happened in the state of Nevada for the coronavirus and kind of tag that along to the S&P for this year. And then Joey is going to talk about a new Christmas controversy that's coming out of Britain. And
It's an old new one.
Okay, an old new.
It's been happening every year for a long time, but it's just got some new wings. But anyway, go on.
New twist to it. So I'll get into my part real quick so that Zoe can get her to her new part, and then hopefully, at least while you guys are listening to this episode, you'll be having a drink for us, because man, a drink sounds fucking delicious right now, and I do think I'm going to end up in a bar at some point today. So of course, 2020 has been a shit show. And the market opened up, of course, not January 1, because the market's already always closed on January 1. But the market opened up coming off of year 2019 with a 30.43% positive return on the S&P. We had a staggering run in the market, one of the longest bull markets in history, if not the longest in history. And the S&P opens up positive and starts moving slightly positive, and this is in January. And in January, we start hearing the first whisperings of COVID. Now, we had heard about COVID in the Chinese realm at the end of the year, but we honestly didn't really worry about it in America per se. But then in January, we start to hear that there's some whisperings of it. So on February 21st, the S&P starts to slide. So we came into January, we had a slight uptick, and then we started to see a downturn in the market that started February 21st on the S&P 500. Zoe and I go to see MJ1 at the end of February.
Oh, fabulous. Loved it.
Yes. Fabulous. No masks were needed, but the auditorium was basically pretty much empty.
Yeah, actually, yeah, it was. Mm-hmm.
Yep. And we were astonished because we thought, man, are really people really doing this because of COVID? At the time, we didn't know what COVID would become. And so that was like our last night out of freedom was MJ1. And I think did we get drunk?
Oh, I'm sure.
You always get drunk, so I'm sure you did.
Yeah, I get it. We got a good. Let's just assume we got a good solid buzz on, and that was towards the end of February, and February 2020, the start of the recession was declared. So we went into a recession. Now, the things you need to know about the economy and the stock market, but specifically the stock market, they're leading indicators, which means that they start moving down before the shit hits a fan, and they start moving up when it looks like things are starting to get rectified. So we move on to March. So March 5th of this year, we had our first COVID case that was reported in Nevada with a 50-year-old man traveling from Washington State to Las Vegas, Nevada. We see on March 12th, Sisolak declares a state of emergency in Nevada, and we become the 24th state to do so. March 13th, the state starts putting in social distancing practices. March 15th, MGM and the Wynn Resorts announced that they will be closing properties on the Strip, which was fucking unheard of. People were starting to lose their mind. Little did we know a lot of them still wouldn't be open today. March 16th, we have our first death as a result of COVID, and it happens to be a 60-year-old man. March 17th, Sisolak declares non-essential businesses will be closed for 30 days, effective the next day of March 18th. The day after that, within the days following that, we see our first appearance of Carolyn Goodman, the Las Vegas mayor, who comes out and voices her opposition to the shutdown. So for those of you who don't understand how Vegas works, Oscar Goodman was our mayor for a really long time, and he was a previous mob attorney. And then he became mayor of Las Vegas. And then now his wife, Carolyn Goodman, is mayor of Las Vegas, because we like to keep our ties tight here in Vegas. By March 23rd, we see the market bottom. And we saw that the S&P 500 from year to date for March 23rd was down 30.83%. That happened in 83 days. So in less than 3 months, we lost over 30% on the S&P 500, making it the fastest fall in global economic history, period, since a crash of 1929 that basically took us, not basically, that took us into the Great Depression. And my clients, shit started hitting the fans. So the beginning of this year, I went into fucking hyperdrive, because this was a historic drop in the S&P 500, and the shit just fell, the bottom just fell out. But this is what's the most fucked up about this, is that most of the drop happened between February 21st and March 23rd. So you're talking about 31 days, really, where we saw the market really take into effect the biggest part of the crash. And if you had actually invested come January 1st of that year, and you put in $100,000, and then March 23rd, when the market bottomed, you would have actually seen a drop of 32.96%, because you had had a slight uptick in the market, and then you would have seen a turnaround crash, which means that your $100,000 investment January 1st would have been worth $67,040. And what that caused some people to do is they panic sold. And they ended up eating a loss of $32,960 in this example. So what happens is we have a substantial drop in the market. People start getting scared, and they start selling out, March 19th. They sell out March 20th. And the problem is that the market bottoms on March 23rd. We don't know it's the bottom yet. And then we start to see a slow incline, and we start seeing that the market recovers, but people are still too afraid, because they don't know if they really saw the bottom or not, which means that they delay getting back into the market. And I had clients who did this against my recommendations, and they delayed returning back into the market, which means that not only did they realize the loss that they ate when they sold it, when the market was at its lowest for the year, but now, when they finally do reinvest back in the market, depending on what their time frame and their comfort level with risk, whenever they decide that they're comfortable to get back in sorry.
What was that?
I got my Shih Tzu. Sorry guys. I got my Shih Tzu on my desk, as always. And he just gets tired, and he just lays back on the soundboard, and he starts muting everything. So I'm trying to save it. And anyway, and so getting back to it. So what happens is that you have people who sold off at the bottom, they realize a gain, and then it takes them a month or two for them to decide to get back into the market, or 3 months, depending on whatever their life situation is. Not only have they realized that gain, now they have even less money to put back in the market to get an increased gain moving forward from there. So not only do they have to make up for the loss that they realized, they have to now in turn have less money work harder for them. So if you guys want to reference this, you can look in my book. I have a great example of this using a concert crowd. It's a good fucking book, you guys. I mean, I'm not just saying this to be self-serving. It's a good fucking book. I have a whole chapter devoted on how this works. Finance is another effort to love. Amazon, Walmart, Target, Barnes and Noble, find it, fucking read it, get your education on. So then we see March 24th, Sisolak banned hoarding of potential anti-vaccine drugs such as chloroquine and hydrochloroquine. I know I'm not saying that right, and limited groups larger than 10 people. So I believe that, was this the drug that Trump was touting, or was it something different?
No, he was touting that one.
Okay. So what happened is that, all of this stuff is moving in hand, and Trump is touting this certain, that was an unproven drug, and people started to find it and hoard it. And so he bans the hoarding of it, March 24th, March 28th. My Vegas people will remember this. March 28th, a temporary homeless shelter was constructed in the parking lot of Cashman Field after the closure of a shelter due to COVID-19. Do you guys remember that?
I remember that.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's awful. Yep.
So you guys, this is Cashman Field's like it used to be where shit happened because that, you know, Vegas back in the day before like the casinos really got into like the Grand Garden Arena and the Mandalay Bay Coliseum and stuff like that. And they have a big parking lot, as big event centers do. And they had people, homeless people, laying in parking spots, and they were socially distanced 6 feet from each other. Now, originally, they had put down carpet so the people had something to lay on. But then they said, well, we can't really disinfect the carpet and we don't want to be spreading COVID. So then they took the carpet away. So we had a parking lot full of homeless people sleeping on the cement. And we're hot now. We're getting hot. I mean, it's Vegas, right? And so they're all sleeping there with no carpet, no kind of padding, maintaining 6 foot social distances from each other. And the reason why they said that they could not move people into Cashman Field is because the Cashman Field had been reserved as a place for overflow hospital patients. And so they couldn't take these people inside to Cashman Field. And there was a whole, you know, big talk, you guys might remember, about Sisolak trying to negotiate to bring people inside the closed casinos, because we have the, you know, some of the biggest casinos in the world all in a huge area down on the strip over here.
Right.
And they're like, why the fuck can't these homeless people go stay in the rooms? Well, that deal fell through because, number one, Nevada doesn't own any of those fucking hotels. They're private. Number two, the casinos didn't want to staff it, didn't want to clean them. There was nothing in place to see how they would get the funding to do so. And then they would have to take and put their employees at risk of people who potentially could have COVID. And so what you see is you see this devastating effect of we have a fucking ton of rooms where we could easily take in all of these people that are finding themselves homeless. Remember, recession started February 20th, or February of this year. So we're in recession. We see unemployment. We see all the casinos starting to close. We see a rise in homelessness. We haven't had any moratoriums on rents that rents or mortgages that have come through yet at that time. And basically it falls through and everybody continues to sleep in parking lots. March 31st, Sisolak requested from President Trump to declare Nevada a major disaster zone to try to get us access to greater Federal Reserve. And we see that they stopped constructing the MSG Sphere at the Venetian because they couldn't get the supplies. There was just too many people out in the supply chain that had COVID and they couldn't do it. So then in April, we see that the business closures are extended through the end of April, and that's from guidance from the White House coronavirus task force, which I think is headed by Fauci, right?
No. Remember, they kind of sidelined him. It was, back then it was maybe
was
back
April.
then, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this
It was
is
him and Bricks. Wasn't it him and Bricks?
Yeah, the genuine fox. Ooh, Fauci. But carry on. Sorry, I'm
Yeah,
getting.
that's okay. I know. Don't get moist on me. So that's in April. So we see that at the beginning of April they extended them closed due to recommendations by the White House coronavirus task force. He urged residents to stay home unless it was due, out for medical or shopping for groceries. On April 4th, we see that what he had petitioned for in March came through, and that we ended up getting some funds. We were declared a major disaster for Nevada, and we got some extra funds from the Federal Emergency Management Agency. And then on the same day, Las Vegas gave liquor stores the opportunity to open back up to compete against the grocery stores, to be allowed to deliver alcohol within city limits. So you saw Lee's Discount Liquor. If you guys are from Vegas, you know who that is. They're a big chain here. And Total Wine and More began home delivery of alcohol, and it was approved within the Las Vegas Valley city limits.
Fast. Well, that's important. It's essential.
Yeah,
Dude.
it's absolutely essential.
Yeah, at that point. Well, and you got to think the thing that makes this so convoluted, and as Zoe would say, I took the piss out of some of the administration here in Nevada because of the way that they've handled the coronavirus. But, I do get it. Republican or Democrat, they don't know what this is. They don't know what it's going to look like. And you have all of these people lobbying. You got the casino lobbying for their interest. You got the liquor stores lobbying for their interest. And so everybody is going back and forth, trying to fight for their toehold within this ever changing coronavirus thing. And April 6th, we saw that they activated the National Guard. And I remember this very plainly because this was in the middle of the over shopping and we still hadn't seen grocery store shelves being restocked yet. If you could go in and find a can of soup, there was usually 2 cans of soup and it was usually some shit soup like cream of mushroom for baking or something like that. But the stores were still pretty much completely gone. I never thought in my lifetime that I would ever fucking go into a grocery store and see a complete empty everything, empty
but
shelves, meat,
the funny
dairy.
part was the toilet paper.
Oh, the toilet paper, yeah.
It was the toilet paper. The run on toilet paper, dummies.
Yeah.
Either of you guys load up on toilet paper? I never
I did
understood
not.
that one.
Yeah, no, I did not. No, I mean, well, we touched on in one of our episodes, the reason why toilet paper, it's behavioral finance. You can buy it in bulk. It never goes bad and you always need it. And it just made me so mad, you guys. It just made me so fucking pissed off. It's not funny when you do that. And they hoarded everything, dude. I felt bad for people with kids. The fucking baby aisles, no formula, no fucking milk, no diapers, no nothing. You know what I mean? Like, toilet paper, wipe your ass with a sock. You know what I mean? But if your baby needs formula, what the fuck do you do?
Yep.
And that was just the craziest shit. And so they activated the National Guard. And I have a friend who is used to be Special Forces Army, and we hope to have her on the podcast here sometime in the future. And I called her. I was like, dude, what the fuck? Are they activating the National Guard? And she's like, yeah, because of a couple reasons, potential civil unrest, but also to do a little bit of helping out Nevada. And these are the National Guards from Nevada. We'll talk about that here in a second. And then April 8th, we saw our basketball courts, tennis courts, golf courses, and real estate open houses finally closed down. And in April 13th of obviously this year, Cashman Field parking lot reopened with tinted isolation and quarantine complex because they had an overflow of hospital patients and homeless patients who were infected with coronavirus. And April 14th, we see the National Guard come in with 700 members. And they set up alternative care facilities to help with food banks and provide medical support for those. Then April 15th, we hear Carolyn Goodman come back in and she voices opposition on the close down. And then April 23rd, this is her infamous rant, April 23rd, she comes back out. She goes on, what was it, CNBC or what did she go on?
I think it was CNBC. It was one of the big national ones, so it's probably CNBC.
Yeah, she went on some big thing April 23rd, and she called the close down total insanity. And she recommended, amongst other things, that Vegas should act as a control group for the rest of the United States. And Zoe and I covered that with differing opinions. And season 3, episode 127, if you want to go back, that was in the height of all of this. And what we saw an emergence of people trying to remove her from office because of everything that she said. And I mean, I didn't think once I watched it, it wasn't as bad as everybody said, but she did have a couple things in there that you can easily twist on a grand scheme and make it sound worse. You know what I mean? Stormy smiling. Do you have anything to add to that before I move on?
I just thought it was funny that she volunteered me for a control group. Thank you.
Yeah, me too, because I don't remember
That was cool.
offering. But
yeah, well,
and I think some of it may have got twisted, but I still think she was a bit wacko.
And a little tipsy.
Yeah, I think her and Oscar had been hitting the martinis.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Early that day.
Absolutely.
His Bombay gin is what he likes. So anyway, so if you want to go back, season 3, episode 127, Zoe and I had kind of a debate about that, and we talked a little bit about Carolyn Goodman's rant. April 27th, we see that Nevada joins the Western State Pact. Now, you have to remember at this time, there was no, well, I guess even still now, there was no, it's nothing from the administration. What am I trying to say? Like there was no help from the administration as far as like no federal guidelines. They were just like, hey, states, fend for yourself. So Nevada joins the Western State Pact.
What you got to do.
Yeah, do what
Yeah.
you got to do, keep us out of it. But by the way, the federal government is going to outbid you for all the PPP equipment that you're trying to get. That was a big one. I don't know if you guys remember that too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember that. That was funny. I mean, not funny, but
Yeah. I mean, not haha funny, but funny like you motherfucker funny.
absolutely.
Yeah. So we joined the Western State Pact with neighboring states to try to see what we can do to stop the spread of the disease. And April 29th, the stay-at-home order is extended until May 15th. So in May, we see that the S&P is starting to try to climb out of its hole for March 23rd. So let's go back to my original example. We have the market bottom this year on March 23rd. People panic sell March 20th, March 19th, and they're too freaked out to get back in. Now it's May, and they're going, okay, it's May. We've seen that the market has started recovering, but the market year to date on May 1st was still down 12.49%. So if you're an investor, you're looking at, you just took a big loss because you sold out at the wrong time. You're looking at it May now. And this is why you guys get caught in a loop. This is why you don't fucking panic sell, because in May, I call you and say you need to get back in the market, but you see that the market is still down. So in your head, you think that the market's going to turn around and do an about face, and you decide to hold. And so this is why you need to make sure that you work with a professional, preferably a CFP, preferably me, quite frankly, that will help you through these things, because we see May 1st that the market has started its climb out from its low of 30% year to date. But it is still, we're still negative on the S&P 500, down still over 12%. So May 1st, we see that retailers and marijuana dispensaries can start doing curbside pickup because, that's
It's
important.
essential.
It's important.
It's important
It
that,
is for some of us.
Yep, you got the fucking weed dispensaries online. You got your liquor stores online. Vegas is almost back. Not really, but we see that golf courses and tennis courses can start to reopen. And then we see that there is a 90-day extension that are issued on licenses who had expired, because of course you can't get into the DMV. May 8th, we see that things start to reopen. Restaurants, retailers, malls, hair salons, drive-in movies, but they have to wear a mask, and they are only capped at 50% of their usual capacity. And then May 8th, the same day, at 75, Roy Horn dies of complications from COVID.
Mm-hmm.
So I forgot about that, actually.
I forgot about that too. I'm like, that was this year?
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So Siegfried and Roy, they had the big white tiger show out of the Mirage for years and years on the Strip, until Roy Horn was attacked by a tiger and basically almost completely died and recovered, but was never the same. They tried to put the tiger down, and Roy and Siegfried said, no, don't do it. So they didn't do it. But of course, they could never continue their act. And, he had recovered, and everybody, being that they were kind of staples on the Strip, everybody was very happy. But then we see May 8th that COVID ended up taking him out at 75. And June 3rd, we see things starting to reopen. Fremont Street reopens. And June 24th, there's a mandate that comes down that says all face masks must be worn in public, period. And between all of this stuff, there's various lawsuits that I'm not even covering from different groups who are suing to remove Carolyn Goodman, suing, on behalf of part of businesses that don't want to enforce the regulations, or that are having economic adverse impacts to all this. So all this shitstorm is happening at the same time. July 1st, we see a hotline is created so that you can actually call and turn in businesses who are not falling within the guidelines of the regulations. July 16th, Nevada is red zoned by the White House Corona Task Force, which basically means, hey, shit's really bad there. And then we see July 31st, Sisolak says, yeah, we're going to keep the 50% cap on it. Now, August 3rd, the S&P 500 turns positive for the year at 1.84%. So we went down, we started to climb up, and now August 3rd, we're at 1.84% positive. Now, remember how I told you that it's a leading indicator? Check it. The market starts going down before a recession is called, and then it bottoms out. Then the market starts to climb up. So August 3rd, we turn positive on the S&P 500. We're going to come back to that in a second. On August 11th, Sisolak signed a law giving legal protection to some reopened businesses, preventing frivolous lawsuits in relation to COVID-19. And August 23rd, Nevada had been placed on travel restriction from 18 other states. So 18 other states said, hey, Nevada, if you have people that come in from Nevada, they're going to have to mandatorily quarantine. But at that time, Nevada had placed no trade restrictions of its own. September 2020, the recession is officially called as being over. So going back to my leading indicator thing, the market starts tanking before all this shit hits the fan. The market starts recovering as all this shit is kind of, I wouldn't want to say run its course or wrapping up in a bow, because obviously we still have cases, but the market turns. So in September 2020, the end of the recession is actually called, but we see that the actual S&P turned positive the beginning of August. September 8th, the state reported its lowest daily increase in COVID cases in nearly 3 months. Everybody was pretty happy about that. September 12th, President Trump comes through and he holds an outdoor rally for his 2020 presidential campaign, and that had more than 5,000 people. And Sisolak had deemed that gatherings could not be more than 50 people. And there was a talk that Sisolak could end up making Douglas County, where the rally was held, make them pay back $8.9 million in funding that they received as part of the CARES Act because they violated the order. But in the end, he decided not to do that. Do you guys remember that?
I don't remember that.
I don't know.
Oh, yeah. And so, and the thing is that the Douglas County said, oh, we approved it because it's our First Amendment right. And Zoe and I have talked a lot about this on this podcast. So the next day, September 13th, Trump held another campaign rally in Henderson, indoor this time. And it was his first rally since Tulsa event where, there was basically kind of empty stands. And they also had a 50% limit, a 50-person limit on the capacity, which of course they went over, but I don't know by how much. I don't have that information. And basically it was the same situation where Sisolak was looking at potentially filing suit, but the Trump campaign basically said, oh, we can't do outdoor rallies because you won't let us. So we're going to do an indoor rally. And the whole thing that Sisolak was trying to say is that, well, it's easier to spread inside. And so on September 29th, Sisolak raised the limit on most public gatherings to 250 people maximum, or 50% capacity, whichever is less. And then moving through the last part here, in mid-October, we see that the playgrounds started being reopened because playgrounds were closed in the state. And October 20th, this is where we start to see that he comes out and he says there'll be no new COVID restrictions for the time being. And then for Halloween, the state recommends that residents skip traditional trick-or-treating in favor of alternatives. But we talked about this on this podcast. I didn't have a ton of trick-or-treaters, but I had trick-or-treaters. How about you guys?
I had my lights off, so I didn't have any.
Yeah, I didn't do it. I didn't want to catch any cooties.
Mm.
So my light was off, everything, but I think my doorbell, my lights were off, but it only rang once, and I pretended like I didn't hear it this year because normally I give out like full-size candy bars, so I'm excited to do that again next year.
Oh, that's right. Stormy told us about that on the other podcast, that he was the one in his neighborhood with Phil's whatever. Fuck, I'll probably go trick-or-treat in your house next year. But so I can't turn off my light because of the way everything's wired. It's on a sensor. So that's it. Like the fucking light's on. I had trick-or-treaters. So not a lot of them, but I had trick-or-treaters and they recommended everybody stay home. And then we move into November, and then we see November 10th in the state of Nevada, we see the largest increase in daily cases at that time. And this is where we see the staying at home 2.0 that Zoe and I again debated in season 4, episode number 228. So feel free to listen to that for your pleasure. And then, of course, moving into December, we still see for Nevada experience record high hospitalizations. And what's happening is that our positivity rate has reached record highs at more than 20%, and we're among the highest in the U.S. The ideal rate would be below 5%.
We're at 20%? Then
20%.
positive rate?
Yeah, at more
Oh my
than
gosh,
20%.
that's like 1 in 5 people.
Yeah, but that's not people that necessarily die from it, but yes, the people that contract
just-
it. That have it, and the ideal rate
Wow.
would be below 5%, and 90% of those cases were in Clark County and Washoe County and Carson City, which of course is the highly in the Vegas and Reno area and all that stuff. And the market we see as of the current trading at the time that I'm recording this, the market is positive 15.07%. So it's important when you're investing that you understand that there's things that are going to come up and there's things that need to be addressed, but you really don't want to make knee-jerk decisions when you're doing investments, because take this year an example. I have clients who held and they're moving positive, and depending on their risk tolerance, they have different returns for this year. And I have clients who panic sold against my advice, and they're still climbing out of the hole. So it's important, again, from an investment standpoint, that you just know what you're doing before you do some random shit. Okay. And then with that is our 2020 Nevada COVID S&P 500 wrap up. And now we're going to talk about Christmas music.
Yes. Mel's favorite topic.
Fist bumping.
Woo. Well, last Christmas.
What kind of bumping?
Of course, as soon as I start to speak,
okay.
Stormy decides to jump in. Put your tiny nips away and listen. So last Christmas we talked about a bunch of Christmas songs, and one of those songs was the song that we're going to talk about in depth right now, which was Fairy Tale of New York, which I know you two don't know, but it is a hugely popular Christmas song in the UK. It was originally released in 1987. It was a duet between the Pogues, which is an Irish band headed by Shane MacGowan, who you wouldn't be able to understand. I can't understand 3 words he said, so you wouldn't either. And it was a duet with Kirsty MacColl. And we talked about, I'm not sure if we did a separate episode or if it was during that episode, but she sadly was killed in a boating accident in Mexico in 2000 when she was just 41. She was protecting one of her children from I believe it was a jet ski that was out of control, and she managed to save her son, but she was killed. So, but anyway, it's a hugely, like I said, popular Christmas song called "The Fairy Tale of New York," and it's so popular that it is in the UK top 20. It has been in the UK top 20 every year since 2005, right? And it's now currently number 4 in the charts there.
Right now?
So, right now, yeah.
Wow.
It's a huge popular song. And it's a duet between, like I said, Shane MacGowan from the Pogues and Kirsty MacColl, and they sing in the style of 2 people having kind of like a blazing argument, and that one's a drunk, one's a drug addict, right? And it's kind of like a dark Christmas song, and that's probably why the British love it so much. And they're just basically having an argument in the song, right, with each other and calling each other names. So the controversy about it is that there's a couple of terms that are used that were somewhat acceptable in 1987, but are no longer acceptable to some. So it's not the first time that the song has caused controversy. In 2007, BBC banned it and then reinstated it because the fans go crazy. And I'll talk about of course I'm going to say what the words are, and we're going to talk about them in a minute. But again, there's been another controversy this year. And our main radio shows and TV shows are run by the BBC, right? And the main radio stations over there are Radio 1 and Radio 2. Radio 1 is has decided this year that it won't play the original version this Christmas, because Radio 1 is generally listened to by Gen Z listeners, right? And it has about 10 million listeners per week. And the age range of the listener is age 15 to 29. Whereas Radio 2 is more Gen X is 40 year plus. So Radio 1, this is what this year's solution to this song is. That Radio 1 will play an edited version, and Radio 2 is going to play the unedited version. It's bizarre. And their reasoning is because Radio 1 listeners are younger people, and they're unfamiliar with the history of the song and will not, won't take kindly to the words used in it. Whereas Radio 2 listeners understand the history behind it and can understand, do you know what I mean? Can get on board with it. And basically, I should probably have said what the controversy is before now, but one of the lines in it is Kirsty MacColl is saying to Shane MacGowan, "You're a cheap, lousy faggot," which actually faggot was many years ago an Irish slang for lazy, but of course it has much different connotations now. And he also Shane MacGowan calls Kirsty MacColl.
So she called him lazy?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
You're right. And
yeah, that would be lazy.
Right.
So I won't buy that one personally. I'm just saying, hey, you're lazy.
People call me Terry all the time.
Okay,
Terry. That would make me Terry, but
okay,
fuck
Karen.
You. Yeah, fuck off.
Yeah, actually, Stormy, one of those people is you that called her Terry. So
yeah. And spells my name wrong, but that's another
right.
story.
Exactly. Go ahead.
And then Shane MacGowan calls Kirsty MacColl, says, "You're an old slut on junk." So the two words in controversy are faggot and slut, right? So in years gone by, they've either bleeped out the word or words. And and I think part of the controversy is that in 1992, Kirsty MacColl did an edited version for what in England, in the UK, there used to be a show called Top of the Pops, which was our weekly music show.
Right.
And she did an edited version in 1992 where instead of using the F word, she said, "You're cheap and you're haggard." So that it could be because, that was, it was a prime time TV show. Kids would watch, it was for kids, so there is a version out there that doesn't have that term in it. So I guess that is part of the controversy, is that, she's died, but there was a version out there that doesn't contain the derogatory words. But the controversy continues with Radio 1 not playing that, but playing the edited version, Radio 2 playing the unedited version, and everyone just reigniting the annual debate as to whether it's acceptable to play the unedited version. Now, Shane MacGowan, you can't understand a word he's saying, but he has said that he was trying to create an authentic character. These were supposed to be immigrants, Irish immigrants, having an alcoholic and a drug addict having an argument, and it's the way that they would speak at that time, right? And he says, not all characters in songs and stories are angels, and he was fine with them bleeping out the words if it needed to be, but he didn't. It wasn't meant to be a homophobic slur. And he just thinks that it's kind of ridiculous. And now the latest is that Nick Cave has jumped on the bandwagon. Not the bandwagon, I like Nick Cave, but he has a website called the Red Hand Files, where fans email questions to him and he answers them. And he's gone on there and just said that the BBC are mutilating the song and is all against, artists' creations being censored, I guess. And then out of that, I was just doing all my research on this because, like I said, it's an ongoing thing. John Bon Jovi did a version of the song this year. He apparently put out a John Bon Jovi Christmas, which is his Christmas album, and he covered this song, and he has got absolutely panned for it, because not only did he completely change the words and said, "You're a bum, you're a braggart, you've lost all your swagger," he also sang a duet. He sang the song by himself, and it's a duet, and he also tried to do an Irish accent. Apparently, I mean, I can't even bear to think about listening to it. But it didn't go down well with the fans, and it didn't go down well with the Pogues either. And I'll read one of the tweets in a minute. But yeah, so that's the current, hoo-ha in surrounding what is a really, it's a really good song. And like I said, it's from 1987. This whole thing has been going on. Well, I guess it wasn't a controversy to begin with, but it's a good song. We talked about, it was on our Christmas list last year when we did the podcast. And it's just an iconic song between really iconic Irish people, the Pogues, Shane MacGowan and Kirsty MacColl. And I read quite a few different opinions on it when I was doing my research, from people who are saying it's just not necessary to use the word, and we shouldn't be putting that out there to people who are saying, look at it in context, and you shouldn't be messing with the art from.
Can I ask you a question? Because I think a lot of our listeners have a question. So, the second word that you said people had a problem with was slut in your junk, right? Something like that.
You're an old slut on junk.
On junk. So the question I have for you is, what did junk mean back then? Because I'm just trying to get the visualization. If she's an old slut on junk, I know what that means. I know what junk in the trunk means, but I don't know what old slut on junk meant back then.
I think it meant actual drugs.
Yeah.
Oh, drugs. Oh, okay.
Drugs.
I was confused the whole time.
No, she was a heroin addict, and he was an alcoholic.
I was using today's definition of junk. I'm with you, young peeps, because guess what? She was given the old definition. I'm giving the new definition. So for our young people audience, you needed me for that one. I know. You can thank me later.
That's right. The oldest person on the podcast just fooled all you young people. So remember that. Remember that.
Did you know they're saying, hey, man, I had this old woman on my junk. Oh, wait, I had this old slut on my junk. I know what you mean. In 87, if you said that, that means, she's on. He
could have been a heroin dealer, and she could have been on heroin. So then she would have technically been an old slut on your junk.
So let me just tell you what somebody tweeted about John Bon Jovi's cover of the song, and they said, and then the Pogues responded. So this person tweeted, "I have heard Bon Jovi's cover of Fairy Tale of New York. It's the worst thing to ever happen to music. And I am including both the murder of John Lennon and Brian McFadden's solo career in there. Wow. This is worse. Thanks a lot, John. Kids crying now saying Christmas is ruined." And then the Pogues, the official Pogues, retweeted what Rob said. So
it's hardcore.
Funny. So we will not be putting the John Bon Jovi version on our
dude, if I can find it, I'm fucking doing it. Come on.
Okay, but you also have to put
the
Pogues version. But apparently it's terrible. And trying to do an Irish accent and doing a duet with himself is just so.
It's just me, myself, and I.
Well, now you got me thinking. I want to go do it with myself.
I'm sure
you did it with yourself before you got on here, Army.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So, of course, is that it, or Zoe?
Yeah. The only other thing I was going to say is that if you are a Pogues fan, there's a new documentary that's come out about Shane MacGowan. It was released on December 7th on demand. It was actually co-produced by Johnny Depp, and it's called Crock of Gold, A Few Rounds with Shane MacGowan, and it's actually being released with subtitles because the press couldn't understand what he was saying.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, he's I'm going to watch it because I'm sure it's fascinating. You have to, if you don't know what Shane MacGowan looks like, you need to pull up a picture of Shane MacGowan right now from the Pogues, because
Okay, Stormy's on it. I see it moving into action.
yeah. So Shane MacGowan from the Pogues, not a handsome fella.
Okay, well,
But
I picture if I picture like a stereotypical like who he portrays in this story, I would assume he would like maybe have some missing teeth, look like he got his ass beat a couple times. Oh my god!
yeah,
There it is.
yeah,
Dude, I am spot the fuck on.
So he doesn't believe in like dental hygiene, does he?
He's a punk rocker, man. They
Well,
don't.
you can still believe in dental hygiene.
You can, but he didn't, and he doesn't.
He doesn't. Yeah, I see.
I wouldn't have been kissing that at all.
Nope.
No,
he's like he's in his 60s now, but I mean, yeah, they're a big deal. They were a big deal, and that, like I said, that song is like the most enduring and Christmas song in UK.
You know, it's the whole controversy with Baby It's Cold Outside here in the United States, you know, and I like the song Baby It's Cold Outside, and we have 106.5 does Christmas music from like the week before Thanksgiving all the way through December 25th, and I haven't listened to it this year, but so far they haven't ended up pulling it. And of course, you know, Baby It's Cold Outside is a duet where the girl wants to go because it's starting to snow and the guy wants her to stay, as guys do, and have, you know, another cigarette and have a little bit more alcohol and maybe get a little buzz on and get a little frisky, right? So thank you for the visual, Zoe. Check out the YouTube to see that. And so there was this whole big controversy about how it was women's assault or something, and it should be pulled because it, you know, all this other stuff. Okay, I mean, and it's a fun. Your boyfriend, if you go to your boyfriend's house, he's obviously gonna try, if he's in the mood, which is, I'm assuming, most always, right? He's gonna, thank you for that, Stormy. That's a banana and a donut gif we're looking at right now. Very, very.
That's not what you were asking for.
No,
I thought you wanted me to look that up for you. That's not it.
No, nope. That looks great. Thank you for that.
Perfect.
So I don't have a problem with the song. Baby It's Cold Outside at all. What do you think about it, Stormy?
Any of
I
it?
don't know the song.
You don't know Baby
Have
It's Cold
you
Outside?
seen Elf the movie?
Yeah, I heard about Baby It's Cold Outside. I don't even know what the controversy is. I've never heard the song, I don't think.
Have you seen Elf the movie?
I know we may have even talked about it, but I just don't remember. It was just one of those things. I'm like, I don't know.
Okay, Zoe asked you, have you seen Elf the movie? Elf with
Elf the movie.
Will Ferrell.
What's his name?
Like
Will
one of the best Christmas movies ever. I can watch that.
I mean,
sing it
all
in
the
there.
time. Yeah, she's got such a beautiful voice.
I don't remember it though. Yeah.
She's in the shower. She's singing. He's sitting in there singing it back to her. Anyway, so basically,
that's
like
creepy.
I said, yeah, like I said, it's a guy. It's a guy and a girl, and the guy's trying to convince the girl to stay and, you know, continue the party and get a little frisky. And she's like, but it's, you know, people will talk and it's so cold outside, and, you know, and one of the reason why I think the controversy over Baby It's Cold Outside is such bullshit is that it does two things to the woman. It puts people go, oh, well, it's like she couldn't escape. Okay, first of all, she could have been like, fuck you, dude, I'm out. So I don't know why you would take away a woman's power like that. And second of all, you know what? What if she wanted to stay? I mean, that's a thing that they never talk about, right? It's like, oh, well, he was, you know, pouring her a strong drink. Okay, well, she's drinking it. That's her man, or maybe somebody she wants to. I mean, so why can't we look at the woman in the song? She's like, yeah, you know, little flirty. She's like, oh, but it's, you know, people will talk, you know, whatever. And in the end, she's gonna fuck them because she wants to. But we don't ever think about that. So anyway, we got a little off topic on this one. So make sure that you follow us on social media at Finance is the Other F Word. Pick up everybody's books. Have a good, happy New Year. And is there anything else to say, you guys, before we're out?
We're out. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to you.
Lily Lou. There you go. Lily just wants to say hi. There she is.
Like a little stretch.
There you
All
go.
right. Okay.
All right.
Thank you. We'll catch you guys later. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening. If you like the show, please rate and review us and tell your friends.